You are in your early to late 20s. You regularly work a job, you pay your taxes, you support your family, or you're a high school student, 15, 16, 17, 18. You sit at lunch by yourself or with one other person. Groups of students walk past you without saying anything. Or you are a middle-aged person. Had a couple of relationships, platonic, that, just ended, fizzled out. Pay your taxes, you work. And if, regardless of whatever age you are, if you're in one of these three groups, one day you sit back and you think to yourself, when I pass, will I be recalled? And, that's something I've certainly thought about repeatedly. But then, you as one of these three different groups decide to turn on your television, and what do you see? A man's confessed to murdering 10 people. A guy just shot up a school. Um, a person was some grand rapist. And what do all three of these various categories of criminals have in common? They will have their name just put out there and distributed over and over and over again in the media for days on end. Which, to warn somebody and keep you alert of current events is fine. But in the most extreme cases, they'll have books written about their crimes that will serve as biographies of them, where they'll talk about their early lives, the first time they ever did something to someone, um, their relationships, how that might have influenced what they later went to doing, and various suspected crimes that they may have committed. And in even more extreme cases, they'll get movies produced about them. And you sit back here and you think to yourself, well, I'm over here, shooting it straight. I'm the average, guy in terms of just being a productive member of society. Why am I not getting notoriety and, fame for acting in a rational and beneficial way to my fellow man? But this guy who, did all these horrible acts, he's getting films and books and psychoanalysis on him produced. Well, why isn't that me? Even though I'm supposedly I've followed the straight path, the one that you want people to go down. And therein lies the problem. I have stated for several months now, as I've thought more and more about it, that we have incentivized people to just lose their minds and go out and commit various crimes for the sake of getting their name in the paper, of having these books written about them, of being the subject of interest. Meanwhile, the guy who goes to college or the guy that works a job for 30, 40 years, he's not getting a film made about him. He's not, having his story told over and over. You're not hearing about, oh man, this one employee we had, he worked there for 40, 50 years. We're going to name this building after him. We're going to name, this day off after him. No one's doing that. And I guess with my channel and why I proposed the biography and the subscriber thing when I did the live stream yesterday was out of the belief that when someone hits that red button, they are contributing to the betterment of the channel. Ideally, sometimes people have other intentions, but nonetheless, I feel that to put focus or emphasis on the life of that person, regardless of if they're an astronaut or some dude that just plays Fighter Z all day, is to tell them, I don't care if you think you haven't achieved some noteworthy event in life. You have mattered to me all for the sake of benefiting my channel. This is my token of appreciation back and my genuine interest in you as a person. You know, I really feel I've done my part to push back the narrative that you have to be this figure who's so astoundingly good or so despicably evil to have your story told or your name enshrined in some book or other uh, piece of pop culture that can be accessed hundreds of years from now. And I'm doing that because I genuinely want those that work in a manner that is conducive to the bettering of society to be the people that we put up the names of on these various buildings and streets and places. I would prefer that over remembering these other figures that, while doing things that were noteworthy for all the wrong reasons. And I can just certainly understand where there is that drive to just throw it all away for the sake of being remembered, even in that way of saying, you know what, I'm tired of being straight and trying to do okay, good things. I'm going to now go out and just lose my mind. I understand that based on, that doesn't mean what they're doing, the end result is good of going out and doing these crimes, not at all. But I can comprehend where that comes from. But what the subscriber, whoever's watching this, has to get, if they ever feel that they're not being remembered or recalled, is that sometimes we have to take the initiative to remember our own life. Sometimes we have to take our own notes and get around people that we think might be recalled for other things. And look, it's not just you. The guy working as a senator for 40 years isn't going to have his story told unless he becomes president. Even then, it's still only a slightly higher chance. These are things that are just striking us all down. Public servants and people that are private citizens who benefit their society. If you are not so exceptionally amazing for either good or bad purposes, you won't be remembered more often than not by the common person. I like to believe myself to not be the common individual. And that's why I granted that initiative yesterday, because I want there to be a payoff and some form of compensation in terms of, all I did was subscribe to this guy and he remembers me. I want that to be the reaction that is felt by those who are frequent visitors of this channel. That you've actually gotten something out of being there, despite, in content or anything of that nature. So I think I've done my part for helping the forgotten man to be recalled. And a lot of us aren't past or deceased, and we're already seemingly destined to be forgotten. But I'm trying to fix that with those who are willing to participate. And that doesn't mean, oh, only through me can you be remembered. No, not at all. But if you want to be involved in this, I am showing my willingness to take the offer that hand and join in that effort, because I think when you do things that are good, even if you're just a person who for 10 years would just pick trash off the street, that's something that should be commended. That's something that should grant you some form of just achievement, whether it's some standing ovation at some private ceremony, or some street being named after you, maybe that sidewalk having your fingerprint on there. Anything it takes to show that we believe if someone does something good, they deserve to be remembered and rewarded for that behavior. So, thank you.